Let's bring our palms together right at our heart and close the eyes softly. With your eyes closed, relax your jaw, relax your eyes. Bring your awareness into the center of your eyebrows, into the Chittakash, the mind space. Our theme is to let go and to release. So we'll practice that by using our exhalations. As you take an inhale, allow your belly to expand, breathe in through the nostrils. As you exhale, breathe out through the nose and follow the breath all the way down to the very bottom. Let the whole breath release. Inhale, the belly expands again whenever you're ready. Exhale, release. And one more time together. Inhale. And exhale. Bow your head towards your heart for a moment. And then lift the head. Release the hands down. And open up your eyes. Welcome to our Astro Yoga Chat. I'm Kate.
And I'm Natalie. Hi.
Hi. Natalie, what are we talking about today?
Yes, I'm coming from the underworld. The lighting is a little bit weird because, of course, here in Europe, it's fall, it's getting dark early. So I'm coming from the underworld today because we will talk about Pluto, which is actually not even a planet anymore. It was discovered in the 1930s. And it was actually reduced to a dwarf planet a few years ago because they found out, like they experienced him as very powerful, but then they found out, whoops, he's really tiny, he's really small, so he's not worth being a planet. But size sometimes does not matter. So he's actually, I would say, one of the most intense planets we have, because when you're under a Pluto transit or you have a Pluto conjunction or opposition, your life is intense. It's the planet of birth and rebirth. So he's so far out in our universe, that he's almost like the bridge to the next thing. So it's really life and death, huge transformation. And he brings out the deepest, darkest stuff there is that you have, your deepest subconscious. So he's really a fascinating planet.
Wow. And I love that you said size doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because this planet sounds like it's packing a punch. I mean,
Yeah.
whoa.
And I thought it's so interesting. So when you're in a Pluto transit, and I have a friend who is in one right now, and your life gets turned upside down. You get stripped of everything you think you need in your life. It's such a huge transformation that you can only surrender.
Wow.
And surrender is actually something for us as yoga teachers. We talk about it so much in class, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, today my yoga class that I taught, the whole theme was about release, letting go and surrender. And that's why using the exhales with your breath, sometimes when your mind is so holding on to something, right? So that control, that saying like, oh, what I gotta do this guy. If you tell your mind to let it go, your mind will fight you. Like, no, 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 no. So then you have to go. This is why the yoga practice is so powerful. The yoga practice, it's like it moves energy within you that your mind is not even aware of, right? So your mind is trying to control it, but allow your breath, allow your body to just and then that was the whole theme. It's just like release. And whether it is you're just releasing an exhalation, great. If you can release maybe an emotion, a feeling, or a situation in your life, great. But just start with the breath and just release that.
And I think in yoga, and yoga as I teach it is actually just a preparation for life, or it's giving you more tools for life. It's about realizing, I mean, do we really control the reality? I mean, there's so much stuff that you just can accept or live with how you deal with it. So like with all the planets we talked so far, you know, there's like different ways how they manifest. So in a very bad and dark way, Pluto thinks, you know, it's all about power, and, you know, people start manipulating and they get addicted and they manipulate with money and sex and, you know, um, but in the end, you know, it's about letting go and transforming. So he can also have to do with like disgrace and humiliation, and but on the other hand, he can make you very charismatic, and he can give you a very deep sense of psychology and how things are connected. So, you know, he was discovered in the 30s, and it was the time of dictators. You know, they all wanted the power and the control, and he was discovered around the time when they invented the atomic bomb. So it's about energy. And maybe I'm the only one, but I always sometimes say it's like Pluto is like a volcano. There's so much power. Like if you have it connected to the sun, it's like your personality. People feel that. Those are intense people. If it's connected to your moon, you have like the biggest emotions or emotional outbursts. And if it's connected to your Venus, it's about wanting to control and betrayal in love and obsession. And when it's connected with Mars, there's even like the danger of violence and all that stuff. So it's so intense, and it brings out deep stuff. And in my teacher training, you know, yoga brought us out so much deep stuff. I had nightmares because when we move, there's so much stuff releasing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is. There's something I say a lot in my yoga classes. There's two phrases that I always share. The first one is be comfortable with the uncomfortable. You know, because when you're in a yoga posture, let's just talk physical, you're in a posture and it's uncomfortable and you just want to get out of it. Well, who wants to get out of it? Does your body want to get out of it, or does your mind want to get out of it? You know, is there actual physical pain, or is it because you're uncomfortable not being great at it, or you're uncomfortable feeling like, you know, little shaking of your muscles and you're saying, oh, but no, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Life is uncomfortable, right? So it's like, how do you be comfortable with the uncomfortable? And then the second phrase that I always share is sit in the fire and wait for your blessings. And that one is, it really shows you your character and your personality. Because when you're going through the rough stuff in life, this, you know, you don't have any control. Everything is stripped away from you. Things in your life has completely shifted, right? So like that underworld is like you're swimming in the abyss of like, I just don't know. Can you sit in the fire and just wait for your blessings? Can you just find a way to breathe?
Yes.
And yeah, so sounds a lot like Pluto.
It does, you know, and my grandmother always used to say everything is over at some point. So I use that phrase in my yoga class when it gets really uncomfortable. I mean, it's not going to last forever. At some point, everything is over because life has just changed. So at the moment, it's uncomfortable. So what can you do? You can only control your breath. You can control the mind. You are not your mind. That's like a tape that is running, you know, but you can control, no, I can stay in there. It is possible. I let go and I just breathe. I focus. I'm in the moment. And with those transits, you know, Joni Patry, one of my teachers, she has this beautiful book on Pluto. She says, so the transit is about 2 years when it hits you, and it moves very, very slowly. So it's not hitting everybody that strong in a lifetime. But once you look back, you will say it's the best thing that ever happened in my life, because he removed everything that was toxic, bad, old, not growth producing. And you know how we are as people, we don't want to let go. We
Right,
don't want change.
right.
And he's forcing us, you know? I mean, you can fight against Pluto and against change, but he's gonna win, you know?
Totally. Totally. It's like fighting against your path or fighting against your what we call your like your dharma, like your calling in life. It's at the end of the day, you're still gonna walk your path, but you know, it depends on how much you're going to uh, uh, resist it and try to control it and change it. There's a beautiful story in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the song of God, and where Krishna, God, is talking to Arjun, who's one of the greatest warriors of all time. And Arjun was born to be a warrior. Like that's his path, that's his dharma, that is his life. And he knows it, you know, that's not a question for him, but he's on the battlefield now and he has to battle people who he knows, his family, his cousins and uncles. And even though those people are in the wrong, Arjun is feeling really terrible about this situation. Now he all of a sudden does not want to be a soldier. Now he's not a warrior anymore because he's like, nope, can't do it. This is too much. I'm very uncomfortable with this. And it's beautiful because the song, you know, the whole song of God is like Krishna is trying to explain to Arjun, you know, do your work, do your work without thinking about like what am I going to get in return. Show up and be you and know that like you do your work and that's it. Let go of all of what you think is going to happen, what you think is going to gain, because just do your work. Have the faith in doing what you are born and meant to do. So I think about that quite a bit because you know, when the going gets tough, when you're sitting in the fire, when you're uncomfortable, you know, is it easier to just give up and start over again? And maybe in some things in life you feel like, yeah, it is. But if you keep doing that in life, you're not going to get anywhere. You know, it's like you're not going to get anywhere. So I think as humans, you know, it's really hard for us to be uncomfortable. I don't know why, but you know, something in the mind. It's just it does. We don't want to be uncomfortable. But
Maybe it's, you know, like Pluto, there's a fear of death, you know? So is there a fear about your body being in pain? Is there a fear about your mind being in pain? Or like, you know, it probably has to do with that, you know? Like in the sutras, it also says, you know, like one of the obstacles is fear of death. In the sutra, it actually also says in the Yoga Sutras that it has the two words abhyasa and vairagya, and it also says like steadily work, do your work, do your job, but then also let go. That's the other thing you do. And like when we practice yoga, it's so much like it doesn't look like in a yoga magazine, it doesn't
yeah,
look like on a picture. Just do the job and don't expect an outcome. And if you work and work and keep doing, at some point you will probably be able to do a handstand, but it doesn't need to be the goal. The goal is the path, right?
right. Right. And I think that's such a beautiful point. And I just want to say it again because I want, if like, listen to this. When you're on your yoga mat and you look at the images of what you see in a yoga magazine, on social media, like these curated photos of what these shapes can look like in a body, that is just one expression of what a body can look like. That is not that shouldn't deter you from practicing yoga because your body can't do that. My body, if like you can't bind your arms behind one another, you're still getting so much benefit of trying to bind and you're getting such an amazing stretch. So why wouldn't we do that just because our fingers don't touch, you know?
And you know, I also tell my students, you know, yoga is an energetic practice. It's not about how the pose looks, you know, like you get, as you said, you get so much benefit from just doing it, you know. It's moving energy, it's shifting, and as you said, it's not just shifting in the body, but you know, it's changing our personality. When I started yoga in like 2010, 11, I'm not the same person anymore. It started physically, then I was like, oops, what is behind all of that stuff. So like reading the sutras, the Bhagavad Gita, what is meditation. So it takes you on a path, and it definitely helped clearing, fears and blocks and all subconscious stuff that just came out in the practice. Because like we have between the shoulder blades, we for instance have our emotional cross, and you move a lot, you're going to free things that are stored in your body that are emotional.
Yep, I'm a different person. I started my yoga practice, my physical yoga practice in 2007. And I'm a different person. And maybe from the outside, people looking at me, they're like, well, what's so different about you? It's like the way that I am on the inside. I am much more aware of my inner world, my inner working. I'm much more aware of how emotions get filtered through me. And I have an understanding that, I have an understanding of how important it is to be present and to know myself and to connect with myself. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a different person because of yoga. I'm grateful for it, obviously.
I like what you said. So much about yoga is awareness. Like, I'm doing the pose. What am I aware of? What am I thinking? How is my breath? What's going on in my body? It's so much about awareness. And like when we come back to Pluto, so much about Pluto in our everyday life, because we don't deal with awareness and we don't want to look there, actually manifests in repression. Oh, I
Mm,
experienced something, I don't like it. Let's stuff it down. It goes to the hip, it goes to the emotional
mm,
cross, it somewhere stores in your body, it stores in your psyche, and then it's gonna reproduce like, vicious circles of things repeating, or you're not moving on in your life, or it's gonna block you. It's gonna be a secret, something dark. Then we come into psychology and all the shadow work, and you're
mm,
still going to attract all that bad stuff because there's something in you that you repressed and
mm.
that needs to come out. So yoga is such a blessing because it makes us look at things. And I also sometimes say it's about split awareness. I cannot just only focus on one thing. In yoga, I can focus on my foot and my shoulders and my tummy and this and the breath and what's going on. And I can even use a mantra. I mean, actually, awareness is so big.
Yes, I know. I know. That's like expanding your consciousness and understanding and like and all those and I was just about to go someplace else, but I'm going to shut my mouth because I want to keep that thought of awareness is so big. Awareness is like what we can be aware of is huge, huge. What our mind can be aware of by itself, and we just like, expect this thing here to like rule us. No, 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 no. Your body, your heart, your energy, your intuition, your soul. Yoga integrates all these different parts of you that then you start to grow and expand and grow and expand. And then suddenly putting your feet on the ground and taking steps is more than just taking a step,
Yes,
moving you in the direction of where you want to go in your life.
yes. So, what about homework? With Pluto, it's a bit tricky because we don't want to go there in the underworld. But
I got it.
yeah, you have one?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have one. Okay. So, because you mentioned shadow work. Okay. So this concept of shadow work, the underworld, the like, that like hidden world, right? So your shadows. I want for the homework, think back to whenever you were a child and think of something that made you feel like when you're looking back at it, that made you feel like really uncomfortable, like a really like maybe, let me give you an example. So when I was a kid, I took dancing lessons and I loved to dance, loved. I did not like the recitals. I did not want to be on the stage with the tutu and the makeup and all this stuff. Like I always found a reason to be sick or not do it or say, no, I'm not going. It's not going to happen. And as I'm older, I would always keep that energy inside of me, like, oh, I don't like it. Oh, because I'm a kid. I don't know how to explain why I don't like it. I don't know how to explain like what makes me feel uncomfortable. So I've been working on my shadow work, and I've been working on these shadows that are with me. So instead now, because look, now I'm like doing videos, now I'm talking in front of people, and I have to do all this stuff where I'm out there. I bring that little Kate with me and saying, okay, I know you don't like the spotlight. I know you don't want people to look at you, right? But we're doing it from the place of service. We're doing this from a place of love to share and to help other people to grow. And when I think about that and I bring that little Kate with me, it heals me so much. So our homework could be look at something from your past where you look back at it and like you thought that made me feel really uncomfortable, or I didn't want to do it, or how come I was always like this? And instead of being like, how come, look at it from a place of how can I bring that energy along with me now and like help it and like grow with it, as opposed to keeping it saying, oh, you're bad. No, you're not bad. You were just unprocessed emotions and energy. So let's bring the good with it. What
I
do you
love
think?
it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And you know, like the rewards and the gold and the blessings are always on the other side of fear too, right? So you overcoming that fear or dislike of being in the spotlight actually brings you on your path.
Hmm. Oh,
It's wonderful. I think, you know, it's the best ending for this
I
episode.
think so. I think so.
Sit in the fire and wait for your blessing, and all the blessings are on the other side of fear.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Kate. Bye.
Bye.